These are 10 women who defined what beauty meant in Hollywood during the 1960s and 1970s. Some are still with us, working well into their 80s and 90s, while others left far too soon. And all of them changed the movies, changed fashion, and left a mark on the culture that never faded. Number 10. Julie Christie. Born on April 14, 1940 on a tea estate in Assam, British India, Julie Christie arrived in Hollywood like a gust of fresh air. By 1965, Time magazine wrote that what she wore had more real impact on fashion than all the clothes of the 10 best-dressed women combined. And that same year, Life magazine declared it the Year of Julie Christie. Both titles were earned. A Best Actress Oscar came her way for Darling in 1966, and then she appeared as Lara in Dr. Zhivago, where that blonde bob and fur hat became style touchstones for an entire generation. McCabe and Mrs. Miller Don't Look Now, and Shampoo followed, earning her 3 more Oscar nominations across the span of her career. Warren Beatty, her partner for 7 years, once described her as the most beautiful and at the same time the most nervous person I had ever known. At 86 years old today, Christie lives on a farm in rural Wales, far from any red carpet. A photograph taken in East London in July 2024 marked her first public sighting in nearly a decade. Duncan Campbell, her husband and a longtime Guardian journalist, passed away in 2025. Number 9. Ali MacGraw. Elizabeth Alice MacGraw, born April 1, 1939 in Manhattan, went from fashion assistant to movie star in just 2 films. Goodbye. Columbus in 1969 won her the Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer, and then Love Story landed the following year, bringing an Oscar nomination for Best Actress and another Golden Globe win along with it. That center-parted hair, the camel coat, the wool cap. MacGraw didn't just star in Love Story, she became its look. Time put her on its cover in January 1971, and after only 3 films, she received a hand and footprint ceremony at Grauman's Chinese Theater. What derailed her career was her marriage to Steve McQueen. Both the lead in The Great Gatsby and the role of Evelyn in Chinatown were offered to her, and she turned them down to focus on a husband who reportedly required that she stop working as a condition of their marriage. Of that famous line, "Love means never having to say you're sorry," MacGraw told NPR in December 2020. It's an insane line, but I said it, and I live with it. Now 87 years old, MacGraw lives modestly in Tesuque, New Mexico, near Santa Fe, where she's been since the mid-90s. Number 8. Faye Dunaway. Dorothy Faye Dunaway, born January 14, 1941 in Bascom, Florida, exploded onto the screen in 1967 as Bonnie Parker in Bonnie and Clyde. The beret, the miniskirt, the machine gun. Costume designer Theodora Van Runkel's wardrobe for that film triggered a global fashion revival on its own. One of the greatest runs any actress has ever had followed from there. The Thomas Crown Affair, Chinatown, 3 Days of the Condor, and then Network in 1976, which brought her the Best Actress Oscar. The morning after that win, her boyfriend, photographer Terry O'Neill, captured her poolside at the Beverly Hills Hotel, wearing a robe with the statuette beside her and morning papers spread around her feet. That image became one of the most iconic post-Oscar photographs ever taken. At 83, Dunaway premiered a deeply personal HBO documentary called Faye at the Cannes Film Festival in 2024, publicly revealing her bipolar disorder diagnosis for the first time on camera. Her words were direct. "I actually have, we might as well say, a bipolar diagnosis. The mania we tap into, and the sadness, of course. I don't know how all that works exactly, but I understand that I need all of that to use in my craft." Faye Dunaway is 85 years old today. Number 7. Natalie Wood. Natalia Nikolaevna Zacharenko, born July 20, 1938 in San Francisco, had been a child star since Miracle on 34th Street in 1947. By the early 60s, she ranked among the biggest names in Hollywood. Splendor in the Grass, West Side Story, Love with the Proper Stranger, Gypsy. 3 Oscar nominations had arrived by the time she turned 25, and those large dark eyes and that raven hair embodied the romantic vulnerability of early 60s Hollywood like no one else could. 2 marriages to Robert Wagner bookended her adult life, the first from 1957 to 1962, and the second from 1972 until her death, with a marriage to British producer Richard Gregson in between. On November 29, 1981, at the age of 43, Natalie Wood drowned off Santa Catalina Island during a weekend boat trip aboard the yacht Splendor alongside Wagner, her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken, and the captain Dennis Davern. What followed was decades of questions. The cause was originally ruled accidental drowning, but in 2012, the LA County coroner reclassified it as drowning and other undetermined factors. And in 2018, Wagner was named a person of interest. No charges have ever been filed. One of Hollywood's most beautiful faces and one of its most unresolved stories. Number 6. Jane Fonda. Jane Seymour Fonda, born December 21, 1937 in New York City, grew up as the daughter of Henry Fonda and made her film debut in Tall Story in 1960. Across that decade, she transformed from the playful space vixen of Barbarella into one of the most politically engaged women in America. 2 Best Actress Oscars anchor her career, one for Clute in 1972 and one for Coming Home in 1979. That shag haircut from Clute spread everywhere. On top of those wins, she collected 7 Golden Globes, a Primetime Emmy, 2 BAFTAs, an AFI Life Achievement Award, an honorary Palme d'Or, and a Golden Lion. 3 marriages shaped her personal life. Roger Vadim, the director of Barbarella, Tom Hayden, anti-war activist and Chicago 7 defendant, and Ted Turner. At 88 years old, Fonda shows no signs of slowing down. The SAG Life Achievement Award arrived on February 23, 2025, and in her acceptance speech, she told the audience, "Acting gave me a chance to play angry women with opinions." 2 months ago, on April 30th, 2026, she appeared at the TCM Classic Film Festival opening night with her son Troy Garrity for a Barefoot in the Park screening honoring Robert Redford. A new film called The Correspondent is now announced at Lionsgate. Number 5. Raquel Welch. Jo Raquel Tejada, born September 5, 1940 in Chicago, refused when 20th Century Fox suggested changing her first name to Debbie because Raquel was too hard to pronounce. A good decision as it turned out. 1 million years BC came in 1966, and even though she had only 3 lines of dialogue in the entire film, the poster of her in that deerskin bikini became one of the best-selling pinups in history, later appearing on the wall in The Shawshank Redemption decades after the original release. Welch replaced the blonde bombshell archetype of Monroe and Mansfield as the defining brunette sex symbol of the 60s and 70s. Fantastic Voyage, 100 Rifles with its controversial interracial love scene alongside Jim Brown, and The Three Musketeers, which won her the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a musical or comedy, all cemented that status. Her own take on what it meant was characteristically sharp. Part of being a sex symbol is very flattering, and it does help you get success in the business, but only to a point. It does cloud people's imagination. They just can't see you being able to do anything else. Cardiac arrest took Raquel Welch on February 15, 2023 in Los Angeles at the age of 82, with Alzheimer's disease listed as an underlying contributor on the death certificate. Number 4. Brigitte Bardot. Brigitte Anne-Marie Bardot, born September 28, 1934 in Paris, changed the rules when In God Created Woman hit screens in 1956, directed by her first husband, Roger Vadim. Nobody had seen anything quite like her. The term sex kitten was literally coined for Bardot by Tony Tenser, head of publicity at Miracle Films, during the UK release of one of her early films in 1955. That tousled blonde hair, the full pout, and the off-the-shoulder Bardot neckline all became fashion staples almost overnight. And then in 1969, her features were chosen as the model for Marianne, the national emblem of France. An entire country looked at Brigitte Bardot and declared, "This is what we look like." Acting ended for her in 1973 at the age of 39, when she retired to devote the rest of her life to animal rights through the Brigitte Bardot Foundation. As she once put it, "I gave my youth and my beauty to men, but I give my wisdom and experience to animals." On December 28, 2025, Bardot died at her home La Madrague in Saint-Tropez at the age of 91. A state tribute offered by President Macron was declined by the family, who chose a simple rattan coffin instead. The funeral procession passed through the Place de Lys in Saint-Tropez on January 7, 2026. Number 3. Elizabeth Taylor. Dame Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor, born February 27, 1932 in London, possessed violet-tinged eyes caused by a rare genetic mutation called distichiasis, which also gave her a natural double row of eyelashes. Even by Hollywood standards, that kind of beauty registered as otherworldly. 2 Best Actress Oscars defined her career, one for Butterfield 8 in 1961 and one for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 1967. $1 million. That was her salary for Cleopatra in 1963, making her the first actress ever paid that much for a single film, and the production nearly destroyed 20th Century Fox in the process. $5 million had been budgeted, but the final cost ballooned to somewhere between $35 and $44 million, depending on the source. 8 marriages to 7 men filled her personal life. The Burton years, both marriages to Richard Burton became the stuff of legend, with the Vatican newspaper denouncing their affair as erotic vagrancy. When she received the title of Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2000, Taylor put it simply, "Well, I've always been abroad. Now it's a great honor to be a dame." Congestive heart failure took Elizabeth Taylor on March 23, 2011, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 79. Number 2. Sophia Loren. Sophia Costanza. Brigida Viani-Schiccolone, born September 20, 1934 in Rome, grew up in wartime poverty and became the most celebrated Italian actress in history. A Best Actress. Oscar for 2 women arrived in 1962, making history because it was the first time the award had ever gone to an actress performing in a foreign language. An honorary Oscar followed in 1991, along with the Cecil B. DeMille Award, 7 David de Donatello Awards, and a career Golden Lion at Venice. Everything about her beauty was deliberate and defiant. Full lips, dark almond eyes, and a voluptuous figure that stood as the polar opposite of the blonde American bombshell ideal. One photograph from 1957 showing Loren side-eyeing Jane Mansfield's décolletage at a Hollywood dinner became one of the most reprinted celebrity images in history. Cary Grant pursued her during the filming of The Pride and the Passion and Houseboat, but she chose her husband Carlo Ponti instead. A famous quote has followed her for decades: "Everything you see I owe to spaghetti," except she denied ever saying it. In a February 2015 interview with the New York Times, Loren called the line completely made up. At 91 years old today, Loren fractured her hip in a fall in September 2023, but recovered after surgery and celebrated her 90th birthday in Rome in September 2024. The Life Ahead, directed by her son Eduardo in 2020, remains her most recent film, and she told Deadline in November 2024, "I want to think about my next movie. I'll think of legacy once I retire, and I hope never to retire." Number 1. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Kathleen Rustin, born May 4, 1929 in Brussels, Belgium, lived through the Nazi occupation of Holland before she ever set foot on a soundstage. During World War II in the city of Arnhem, the teenage Audrey performed in clandestine ballet recitals called Black Evenings, held behind blacked-out windows to raise money for the Dutch resistance. The Nazis executed her uncle Otto van Limburg-Stierum in 1942. Years later, she described it herself. "I did indeed give various underground concerts to raise money for the Dutch resistance movement. I danced at recitals, designing the dances myself. And then came Hollywood, and the black Givenchy dress in the opening scene of Breakfast at Tiffany's." Fashion historian Valerie Steele called it the most famous of all little black dresses. When a screen-worn copy sold at Christie's auction house in December 2006, it went for over $923,000. An Oscar for Roman Holiday in 1954 launched her. 4 more Best Actress nominations followed, and she eventually became one of the few performers to achieve EGOT status, winning an Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, and Tony over the course of her career. The American Film Institute ranked her the 3rd greatest female screen legend of Hollywood's golden age. What may matter most about Audrey Hepburn is how she chose to spend her final years dedicating that last chapter to UNICEF, traveling to the world's poorest regions as a Goodwill ambassador. A posthumous Jean Hirschholt Humanitarian Award honored that work in 1993. On January 20th, 1993, in Tolochenaz, Switzerland, Audrey Hepburn died at the age of 63 from a rare appendiceal cancer called pseudomyxoma peritoni. These 10 women gave the 60s and 70s their look, their romance, and their fire. 4 of them are still with us. Sophia Loren at 91, still talking about her next movie. Jane Fonda at 88, still collecting Lifetime Achievement Awards and making new films. Faye Dunaway and Ali MacGraw and Julie Christie, still here, still carrying the elegance of another era. And those who are gone left behind something that time doesn't touch. A silhouette, a glance, a single image that the whole world remembers. Real beauty changes with time. It just doesn't disappear.